at 7:05. I am recording this just to get playback for anyone who can't join us. So before we begin, does anybody have, and you can just raise your hand with the icon feature, does anyone have any questions that I need to address before we get started with the review? If you want, just use the icon, raise your hand, and I'll kind of just call on you. This looks like we've got a good number here. All right, go ahead. Ashley, I've got you with your hand raised.
Is it going to be all multiple choice, or are there going to be like open-ended?
So good question. For the honors, it is 50 questions. For the advanced, it's I think 45, all multiple choice questions. All the questions are multiple choice. No open-endeds. Are there any other questions? Go ahead, Finn.
I forget what I was going to say. Sorry.
That's all right. So I am going to, let's say, so you guys can see my screen. This is a modification off of, this is a modification from our, from your Cornell or your binder checklist. So what's going to be on your exam this week? So I would review your flipped classrooms on the ancient civilizations. You're going to have some questions, kind of content level questions on not the Mycenaeans, the Sumerians, the Babylonians, the Lydians. You don't need to know a whole lot about them, but you should know what the importance of each civilization, like what was their one or two major contributions to the story of mankind. So that's number one. I would make sure you go back and take a look at the importance of, I would reread the transcript from What is the State and What is the State article. We watched the video on that as to why early civilizations form governments. We talked a little bit about that, why people kind of band together early in the era. I would definitely reread that. Comparing the religions, that graphic organizer we did, there's definitely going to be questions on the tenets of Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. So let me just... so I would just make sure you guys are good with that. All right. I would look at your classical Greece notes. There won't be any questions on like the apology. There's not going to be any text dependent questions, but there are going to be questions about the achievements and accomplishments of the classics in Greece. For honor students, the first 4 questions are going to be based off of the reading Democracy in Greece. And so make sure you're pretty well versed with that. You will be allowed to use the reading with you. My advice to you guys, and you guys know by now, I'm always going to be asking a question like, what's the main idea of this paragraph? What's the main idea of the overall text? And then what sentence or what phrase supports that claim? So those are always going to be kind of some of the important ones. All right. So we've got a democracy. Your homework over the weekend was to watch the flipped classrooms on classical Rome. So there's going to be definite questions on the accomplishments of the Roman Republic, the Roman Empire. And then we did the reading on the Han Dynasty, and we compared to some of you guys in class, if you're in fettuccine and if you're in ravioli. I haven't done this lesson with you guys. We're going to do that tomorrow in class, where we compare the Han Dynasty and the Roman Empire. We'll be doing that tomorrow, but that's going to be on your exam. And there will be questions about women and family and the class systems of the contemporary classics in that. So that is really the crux, like an outline of what you need to focus on. Like I said, if you're taking the test tonight, so that's everyone in Lomain, you don't need to go crazy. I would just skim through your notes. There's going to be a mixture of knowledge level questions and then kind of deeper analytical thinking questions where you're going to have to read and kind of make predictions. But it's pretty straightforward. So before we get started, after seeing that outline, does anybody have any questions there? Anything that I need to elaborate? Are there any just like, I really don't understand a concept, anything of that nature? Go ahead, Finn. You get your hand raised?
Can you put the list of what we need to review on like the Google Classroom?
I will indeed. Actually, it is on Google Classroom. If you look, I put the binder checklist, and it's kind of a modification off of that. So if you look at the error 3, you'll be able to see it, but I'll screenshot this and put it up after we're done our review.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Like I said, the Kahoot is only 20 questions. So if there is something specific, if there's a key concept that you're really not understanding, or I need to go back and elaborate on, now's the time to ask. Is there anything at all? All right. So let's get started. We got a little Kahoot. All right. All right. So again, there is our list once more. If anyone wants to, I'll give everyone a minute. If anyone wants to take a picture or screenshot it. All right. All right. So here we go. Little Kahoot, error 3. 21 questions. Of course, something went wrong. All right. We're going to play. We're going to go classic 1-to-1. Now, fun fact, I don't know. Oh, we do have sound on this. All right, here we go. So the pin is 339-1374. All right, I'll give everyone a couple minutes. I think we have about 40. Sherry, go ahead. If you're going to rejoin, go ahead. I'd rather you do it now before we start the Kahoot. All right, we'll get Sherry back on. All right, we'll give everyone just another minute. All right, I think we got 30, so I am going to get us started, all right? 31, 32, 33. Give everyone another second. And again, if you guys have questions, like I said, I can't see you, so just chime in with the question. If you need me to elaborate on any questions, just jump in and ask. Don't be passive. All right. We're at full screen. I got 32. All right. Here we go. All right, who is credited for creating the first monotheism? All right. All right, very good. So remembering the religions, the oldest world religion is in fact Hinduism, but Hinduism is not a monotheism. Mono meaning one, okay? Hinduism is a polytheism. So the first monotheism are in fact the Hebrews or the Jews. So the correct answer is Hebrews. So in order, it goes Hinduism, and then Buddhism is born out of Hinduism, and then Hebrew, and then Christianity, and then the youngest of the religions is Islam, that was formed around 570 AD. All right, good job. All right, very good. Good job, guys. Looking strong. All right. Who created the first market economy? The first market economy. All right. Okay. So very good. Not one of you, not a great response. So one of you guys said the Hebrews. That's incorrect. 9 of you guys said the Sumerians. No. Many of you guys said the Babylonians, and unfortunately, that's incorrect. The Lydians were the first group that had coined evidence of coin currency, and we said in a market economy they traded. Or they exchange goods for the coin currency as opposed to trading goods for goods in a traditional based economy. So that was the Lydians. All right, very good. All right, Reagan's on the board. Good. Chris is on the board. Sherry's up there. Drove. Good. Tim's hanging in there. All right, number 3. Who created the first known code of laws? All right, very good. Okay, so a lot of you guys, this may have thought the answer to the previous question was this one. So the Babylonians under King Hammurabi is credited for the first known code of laws. Hammurabi's code was the first known law code. You guys probably remember this from 6th grade. This was the idea of equal justice under the law. People were punished, an eye for an eye, tooth for tooth. It's quite revealing if you read the law code itself. It's quite revealing the treatment of women, for example, and their place in society. So that really tells a lot about Babylonian society. You will have a question. I will tell you there are some excerpts from Hammurabi's code, and there might be 1 or 2 questions. There's definitely at least one question where you have to read the law code and kind of figure out what the law code is saying or why it's important. So that's just something to keep in the back of your mind. So very good. 18 of you guys got that correct. Good job. All right, good job. Looking strong. All right. Who developed the first alphabet? The first alphabet. Who's credited for the first alphabet? All right, great job. So a lot of you guys are hanging in. You guys are stuck on the Sumerians, the Phoenicians, and we get the word phonics. So if any of you guys have heard like phonetic spelling, like spelling something out, phonics, Phoenicians, and the Phoenicians, if you guys remember, were some of the world's first mariners, and they kind of they spread civilization in pockets throughout the Mediterranean. And again, these are all example of kind of knowledge base or lower level questions. What's going to happen is on your test, you may have it phrased a little bit differently, or you may have a scenario, but you're going to need that background knowledge in order to answer the question. So if you know that the Phoenicians were the first to develop that alphabet, that'll serve you well. All right. So good job with the Phoenicians. All right. Looking strong. All right. Next question, number 5. One of the 5 pillars says you should take a pilgrimage to this city. All right, very good. Okay, so Messina is not the correct answer. Jerusalem is one of the holy cities for the Western religions, but it's not necessarily there to make a pilgrimage. Palestine is incorrect. The correct answer is of the 5 pillars of faith, which pertains to the Islamic faith, says you should make a pilgrimage or a Hajj to the city of Mecca. All right, Ethan, good. Chris, very good. Looking good. All right, question number 6. How was social hierarchy organized under Hinduism? All right, very good. Okay, so based on production, that really doesn't have anything to deal with. So the question is asking about social hierarchies. So that's talking about society, and a hierarchy is how things are organized. So it's not based on how they died. That would be the idea of reincarnation. But the idea is that when you're born, everyone's born into a certain caste system. So that is how Hindus organize that in society. All right, very good. All right, number 7. Roman women had, finish that sentence. We're looking for the answer that best fits the sentence. Okay, very good. Okay, we know that and for those of you guys in fettuccine and ravioli, you're going to read this article tomorrow. But when we talk about the roles of women in classical Rome and the Han dynasties, we're looking at the types of freedom they had. So they didn't have really a whole lot of financial freedom. That only happened if someone died in their family, if their father or husband died. They definitely didn't have unlimited freedom. In terms of subservience to men, not really the case. While the men were the head of the household in what they called a patriarchy, they did have the best answer that finishes that sentence is they did have limited freedom in some regards. They were allowed to go out in public, but they had to be accompanied by a spouse or a father or a male figure of some kind. But they did have certain degrees of freedoms in Rome. All right, so limited freedom best completes that answer. All right, good job, guys. Very good. All right, number 8, true or false? Mesopotamia is located between the Tigris and Euphrates Rivers. All right, very good. Okay, that's an easy one. You guys should remember that from 6th grade. Almost 100% accuracy. Great job. Tigris and Euphrates Rivers, the Fertile Crescent. Excellent sense of irrigation helps develop and cultivate that land. Very good. All right. True or false? Hinduism began in India and spread into China. Oh, we are split 50-50. Wow. Okay, so Hinduism, in fact, did begin in India. It may have spread to small pockets of China, but it did not spread widespread into China. For that, the correct answer would be Buddhism. Buddhism is something that spread into mainland China, and from that, we get other religions that come from that. So that was, again, just look at the wording of the questions, how they're worded. That's why that answer is correct. So good job. All right. Next up, 10 of 21. Plato thought this form of government was the best. Plato thought this form of government was the best form of government. Excellent. Okay. So not the best. So Plato, I'll give you a hint. So remember in our discussion of ancient governments, Athens had a democracy, or so it's claimed. However, what we do know is that Socrates was tried for what? He was tried for corrupting the youth. And remember, Plato sees that. And Plato feels that a jury of the peers, Plato fears absolute rule of the majority. Okay. So Plato actually feels that the people really aren't intelligent enough to govern themselves. So a couple of you guys in our roundtable discussion last week, and even in your shortened DBQs, made the argument that, in fact, hey, it's really not a democracy, but a better form of government would be an oligarchy, or what Plato says is a republic. A really good way of remembering this is the name of the book that Plato wrote, in addition to Theodio, Symposium, and the Apology. His most famous work is The Republic, for which he makes the case for electing wise, intelligent, reasonable people, men, to make decisions for the government. So he definitely didn't advocate for a one-man dictatorship. Oligarchy, the case could be made for that, but the strongest one is the Republic, the title of his book. So that's just something to kind of be cognizant of. All right, good job, Sherry, making a comeback. Good job. All right, number 11. The Greeks mastered the understanding of how the body moved with this sculpture. It's a 10-second question. All right, very good. Okay, so the two statues that you guys had to choose from. So Homer was the poet who wrote the Odyssey and the Iliad. Socrates, as we know, is a philosopher, so good job not choosing them. The statue of David is a Renaissance statue that was sculpted by Michelangelo in the 1500s. Credos Boy is that most important statue that shows that Italian phrase of contrapposto, or showing movement. So that was really important. So good job. Many of you guys got that right. Excellent. All right. Look at that, Tim making a comeback. All right, halfway done. 12. The Pax Romana was a period of peace and prosperity that lasted for 200 years. All right. So very good. That is the Pax Romana, is that classical age of Greece that lasted for about 200 years. That answer is true. Very good. And during, make sure, just want to follow up, make sure for your exam, you guys can clarify some of the accomplishments of the Pax Romana. So for example, the domed Pantheon, some of the the aqueduct system, the architecture, the Roman arch, Colosseum. Those are all lasting accomplishments of the Pax Romana, the Julian calendar. Those are all things you might see a question that says, you know, what was one of the accomplishments of the Roman Empire. Make sure also, just now thinking about Rome, make sure you understand it started as a republic and evolved to an empire. Make sure you remember ideas about the Senate and the idea of representation, and how Julius Caesar was assassinated because he was trying to dissolve the Senate and take control for himself. So those ideas are pretty important. Also, remember who was executed at the hands of the Roman Empire, and that was Jesus Christ in around like 33, 32 BC, or AD, excuse me, Common Era. All right, next question. All right, 13 of 21. What best encompasses all types of states from early to modern societies? So take a minute, think about what is a commonality that all the states have. All right, good job. Okay, so this was a nice little bell curve. So this is an example, guys, of a kind of a more challenging question. So some of the true, false, or some of the earlier questions were kind of the knowledge level questions. Now they're going to get a little bit more challenging. So this goes back to that article about what is the state. So all types of states, and when we talk about states, we're talking about like villages, cities, city-states, towns, and then eventually empires. They had complex political, social, and economic structures. So two of you guys said political parties and constitutions. Not necessarily. That comes along much, much later. 11 of you guys said a structure that governs how a city and the surrounding area operates. Not necessarily. Don't forget the three components: political, social, and economic. A couple of you guys also said the main goal was improving trade. Not really. Trade wasn't the main focus of how and why states develop. Remember, states, political, social, economic. All right, good job. Tim in the lead. All right. Okay, 14. What were the two approaches to early state formation that political scientists debate today? All right. Another more analytical thinking, and this is something we spent a couple days talking about. All right. Okay, so many of you guys got this one wrong. So this is something that you might want to go back and take a look at. So political scientists say there's two reasons why or how states are formed. There's the cohesive and there's the integrative. Okay, the coercive is the idea of being forced upon something. So the idea is that someone comes into your state and takes it over and forces their politics on you, and you have to obey. Then the integrative is that the idea that people will band together to decide what's best for their city-state. So that may be something. So like I said, I would go back if you're reviewing tonight or tomorrow, I would go back and re-examine your transcript from the video, what is the state? And I would also take a look at that article, what is the state? Because that really goes in and explains a lot. 14 of you guys said, well, let's see, 8 of you said sedentary and nomadic approaches. Well, those are two kind of contradictory terms. Sedentary means you're staying put and nomadic means you're moving. So that's just a completely false answer. Religious and secular approaches. Again, those are two opposites. You can be religious and then you can be secular, meaning secular is non-religious. So again, those are two opposite approaches. So that can't be true. And then it looks like trade-based and military approaches. Not really, because again, people don't form states for economic reasons, but the two main theories were coercive and integrative. All right. So, and guys, that was an example of, again, the questions are going to get just progressively a little bit more challenging. So good job. Good job, Danya. All right, true and false. Enslavement and threats of violence demonstrate an example of coercive behavior. All right, very good. And if you guys remember from when we watched the episode of Mankind, at the end of the movie, one of the emperors, the Egyptian pharaohs, what did he hold ransom? He held the children of his enemies hostage as ransom. Again, the threat that if you attack me, I'm going to kill your children. So again, that's an example of a coercive behavior. Okay, so that's one way that people form governments. So good job, 21 of you guys. All right, very good. Reagan's up on the board. Chris, Sherry, good. Tim, good. All right, number 16. What is the reason why state may form according to the voluntary theory? Five seconds. Okay, so again, what is the reason why the state may form according to the voluntary theory? And this is the integrative one. And again, the idea is to reduce violence, okay, so the threat of violence, and to create a fair system of trade, okay? Some of you guys, most of you guys said to develop trade networks and bring people into agriculture. Not necessarily, because that answer assumes that people are already using an agricultural-based system. You might be using a different style of economics that you're bringing people to. So that answer is false. Two of you guys said to enforce agreements and wage wars against neighboring groups. That would actually be an example of the coercive behavior. One of you said to allow certain people to work less than others. That's just inaccurate. So the best answer is to reduce violence and create a fair system of trade. The idea is if you can create a fair system of trade, people will benefit mutually, and kind of that idea that a rising tide will lift all boats with the economy. So that's, again, going back to the idea of the reason why people form different governments. So again, you might want to go back to the article about why people form governments, and also that video transcript. All right. All right. Tim, Reagan, great job. Sherry, Danya, Chris, good job. All right. Excellent. All right. 17 of 21. Why do states use the coercive theory? Remember that idea of coercive means violence. All right, very good. Okay, so so 5 of you said states form because people want to improve trade networks and reduce violence. Again, that was the answer to the previous question. States using the together approach, the voluntary approach. Some of you guys, one of you guys said because certain people physically steal other people's land for themselves. That's just an incorrect answer. Some of you guys said none of the above. Nope. The correct answer right here is so the state can maintain control over others and their resources. So again, that idea of coercive, remember, coercive means force. So the state wants to maintain control over the people and control what they do. Okay, so again, you've seen, I think, like 3 or 4 questions now on the different theories of government. So I would go back and reread those articles if you need to. All right. All right, Tim's on fire. Reagan dropped 1. Sherry's in second. Chris, Danya, excellent. Good job, guys. All right. Hindus believe that a person's status is determined by the actions they perform in life. What is the term that describes this? All right. Very good. Okay, so it's not moksha, it's not Brahman, it's not samsara. It is the idea of karma. What you do in this life will determine what happens in the next. All right, so that is, again, one of those terms that's kind of a medium level question that you would see. So make sure you know the different terminology when dealing with the religions. All right. All right, Ethan on the leaderboard, Danya, Reagan, Sherry. Good job, guys. Looking strong. Liam, 3 in a row. All right, 19. True or false? Han women were limited to private spaces while Roman women could enter public sphere with the accompaniment of men. So take your time. All right, very good. And again, those of you guys that are in the fettuccine class and the ravioli class, we're going to read this article tomorrow. But yeah, there's going to be a couple questions comparing societal norms and values. Han women were pretty much not exclusively confined to private spaces, but Roman women were allowed to enter the public sphere with the accompaniment of a husband or a male figure. All right, so good job. All right, Cameron on the board, Ethan, Reagan, Sherry, good job. All right, last 2, true or false? Roman women had limited freedom, but lacked many of the rights given to men. Is this true or is this false? All right, very good. Okay, very good. So Roman women had limited freedom, but lacked many of the rights given to men. So again, don't confuse the idea. Just because they had freedom doesn't mean necessarily that they had all the political rights of men. All right, and again, that's something we talked about in today's class and tomorrow's class. All right, coming down to the end. All right, Reagan's hanging in there. Cameron, Ethan, Sherry, guys are looking good. I think there's like 2 more questions. Oh, this is the last one. For Christmas, Dasher and Dancer are the only names of Santa's reindeer that begin with the letter D. Let's separate. Little Christmas fun, little Santa surprise. All right. Oh, wow. So the correct answer is false. There are 3 reindeer from the song that have Dasher, Dancer. Don't forget Donner. Those are the 3 Ds that are in Santa's sleigh. So 17 of you guys need to go back and reread the song or the musical or whatever, while 14 of you got it right. All right. All right. So error 3 in 3rd place. All right. Good job, Tim. Reagan in 2nd place. And did Sherry pull this out? Awesome job. Great job, Sherry. All right. So I'm going to exit the full screen. I'm going to stop sharing. All right. So that is, one second. All right, so that is, guys, I mean, that is just a brief overview of what's going to happen for the exam. Like I said, make sure go back and look at your ancient civilizations, that flipped classroom from early in November. Go back. I would look at your classical Greece, your classical Rome flipped classrooms. And it looks like some of you guys struggled with the what is the state? So there's definitely going to be a couple questions on that. If you are comfortable, I think on the resource, if you look up like on YouTube, like OER, what is the state? You might be able to find the 2 videos that accompany the 2 articles. So you can watch those as well. All right. Does anyone have any specific questions that I'm looking for? Ethan is telling me Donner doesn't exist. No, Donner does exist. They all exist. They're going to bring magic and joy to your home one day. Ethan is saying, nah, bro. No, it absolutely is true. What other questions? I mean, this is, you've got me. Ethan says, he gotta be dead. No, buddy, don't, Mr. Martyr, the 3rd page is due tomorrow, right? Cameron. Yes, Sherry, I will be posting this. And Ethan, Reagan wants to know, okay, why don't you have friends? Okay, Reagan, be nice. Can I post the Kahoot? I will try to, Ashley. I don't know if I can do the link, but if not, I definitely am recording this and I'll upload this onto our YouTube page. Looks like Ethan's about to get jumped on site. Mr. Martyr, I'm sorry. What's your answer to my question? Oh, Cameron, excuse me. The packet, yes. So the third page of the packet we did in class with the article that will be due on test day. So Cameron, for your class, it will be due tomorrow. Ravioli's test is Wednesday. The only person that's testing tomorrow is Lomain. They're ahead in the rotation. Everyone else is testing on day 4. Yep. Are there any other questions? Tim says, rip to Lomain. No, they will do just fine. They did just fine. I mean, we all know what happened the last time when I let Fettuccini go first. Fettuccini really knocked that test out of the ballpark. Any other questions? Any other questions? Anything for the good of the order? Matthew Garland private messaged me and says, give me answers. I won't tell anyone. No, Matthew Garland, I'm not going to do that. Yes. I exposed Mr. Garland. Very good. Are we going to do a DBQ review this week? Yes, that is my plan. Tomorrow at the beginning of class, I will try and spend some time going over the DBQ. And Adriana is correcting Matthew on the legal definition of slander. All right. A lot of cash. Is Tim Lee seriously bribing me right now on Zoom while it's being recorded? No, Tim, I'm not taking your cash. Fat stacks. Yeah, if anything, Tim does have mad good grades. You guys should be offering to buy points from Tim. Tim should be selling you his points. Man, this is a interesting pattern of English. All right. Before I catch you guys go, any last questions? Anything at all? Yes, Finn, you are comparing the Rome and the Han Dynasty tomorrow in class. You're doing that comparison. Ashley, go ahead. What's your question?
Okay, so like in the beginning of the Kahoot, when did we learn about, like, what article did we learn about, like, the Wait, I have it screenshotted. One sec. Oh my god. I can't find it, but like it was like with the Babylonians and like all
So
of that.
that's going to be early on. That's like one of the very first flipped classrooms from era 3. That actually, if I'm remembering correctly, that was given to you guys before fall break. That was one of the assignments you had to do over break. So if you go back through, look through that, it should have, I mean, it was literally like civilization by civilization. You don't need to know like all the ins and outs, but I would know at least like the major accomplishment of each civilization. Like the Lydians, first market economy. The Babylonians, first legal or the first known code of laws. The Phoenicians, pioneers of the early alphabet, things of that nature. And those, just for testing purposes, guys, those are considered like the easier questions, if you will. So you want to make sure you maximize your points. That way, when you get to some of those harder questions about like what is the state, the coercive theories of government, you can afford to maybe get 1 or 2 of those wrong. Tim is asking me privately in the chat, or not privately, but he's asking me in the chat, can you explain why states are formed? So the whole premise behind the states, if you go back, there's the 2 theories. There's the coercive theory, and then there's the integrative theory. And the idea, the one theory is that people form states almost out of fear, where people form governments so that someone or a group of people can control land and resources. The other model of government is the idea that people will come together naturally to form what's best for the community. So I kind of use the example of, if I wasn't your teacher and you were in class, would someone just step up and take charge, or would people form a government out of like mutual defense? Would they form that more naturally? So those are like the 2 contemporary theories. And I would just make sure you know examples of coercive versus integrative. And Cameron said, Tim is writing down the essay. And Adriana says, fearfully creates government. Yep. Good. Any other questions? Any other questions? So again, don't spend a whole lot of time. Like, you don't need to be up to all hours of the night studying for this. You guys will do just fine. Yes, Finn, you have a question.
It'll be better if I just speak it than type it. But
Yeah.
on the classroom, you have comparing the Roman Empire and the Hans Dynasty, but you told me that we're going to be doing it in class tomorrow.
Yes.
I'm confused.
What are you confused about? So we're going to be doing that lesson. We're going to be going over that lesson with your class tomorrow, and then your test is Wednesday.
So I don't have to do it tonight?
No, you should have that. You should have those 2 articles read for class tomorrow.
I do have them read. It's just a bit confusing. Sorry.
That's okay. So you should have read those 2 articles and annotated it. And then you should have answered. There was a set of, I think, 4 questions for each article. So when you come to class tomorrow, you should have the first 2 pages of that packet for your class done. And that's ravioli and fettuccine, because you guys are a day behind in the rotation.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Trinity asks, yes, the test is 50 questions. Yep, 50 questions. Any other questions? Any other questions? All right, so listen, again, take your time with it. Have a good process. This would be the time, tonight and tomorrow, go through your binder, make sure, follow that checklist, make sure everything's organized. I'll repost the list of content areas, but you guys will do just fine. Have confidence in yourself. You know the material, and really don't second guess yourself. And also get a good night's sleep. Like, don't be up all hours of the night gaming or YouTubing or TikToking or Snapchatting or, talking smack on Ethan, because I know that's what we love to do in our pastime. I'm sorry, bro. Cameron says, I normally fall asleep around midnight. Reagan says it's a nice hobby to be mean to Ethan. That's not. Oh, look, Ethan's giving us a thumbs down and an unhappy face. That's not. We have to be nice to Ethan. I hope you notice that Martyrone is a robot. I'm a robot. No, I'm not a robot. All right. What am I doing after this? Ashley asks. I'm probably going to sit down and grade. Thank you, Cameron. I'm probably going to sit down and grade some of the DBQs for Ravioli. And then I've got some AP government essays to grade. Are there any other questions? All right, I'm going to hang out for a little bit. If anyone has like one-on-one questions that they want to ask me, other than that, you guys are free to go. Thank you so much for coming. I will, like I said, I'll process this recording and I'll get it uploaded onto my YouTube channel. And if you have any questions, you can always email me or post it on Google Classroom. Okay. All right. Good work, guys. Good work. You're going to do great.